record. Okay, sharp. We are looking at ordinary share capital. So we are tracking the information from the shares in issue at the beginning of the year to the shares which was in issue by the end of the year. So can we look at the information, Masilu, and look at how many shares was there at the beginning of the year? So another thing that you have to be very, yes.
I don't see information.
Oh, okay. With the information, you are right. Another thing that you have to be very careful of, Masilu, when you do this part of issued shares, on your left side, you talk about numbers. Numbers like Kibulela Kang. Numbers, I'm referring to the number of shares, like the quantities, like 20 shares, 100 shares. So we on the left side, we talk about the number of shares. Whereas at the right hand side here, we will be talking about the value. Rent, good, rent. So example, come over 200, it's just an example. Come over 200 shares. Shares as numbers. Come over something like 20,000. We talk about shares in terms of rent. I want you to see this difference. Numbers and value. Good. Practical. Good. I like that. But we talk about the numbers of shares and shares in rent. So let's start with shares in issue at the beginning of the year. This is the question DBE 2017. We need to look at the number of shares in issue at the beginning of the year. So typical in accounting, we have to know our financial year end, and we also have to know the beginning of the financial year. So in this case, if you look at question 5, we realize that the year end is actually 31 December 2016. This is our year end. So what is the beginning of the year? What is the financial period of the beginning of the year? 31 December 2016 is the financial year end. So what will be the beginning of our financial period?
The one December 2015. The 1 November 2015.
Okay. To make it simple, Masil, if we are 31 December 2016, last year last year. Our financial year end. If we are 31 December 2016, last year in the previous year. Bofela 31 December 2015. The last financial year in the prior year, Bofela 31 December 2015. So ulevelela lejachi after the financial year and feed. What is that day? It's 1 January 2016. This is your beginning of the financial year. And if you miss the beginning of the financial year, I'm going to have a problem with that. You can't miss the beginning of the financial year. 31 December 2016. What our last year 31 December 2015? What are the beginning of the financial year? It's 1 January 2016. So what are Ronyaka information of 1 January 2016? On 1 January 2016, how many shares was in issue? So let's look for the number of shares in issue on 1 January 2016, which is the beginning of the financial period. So let's read our information. Let's look for the information. Here comes the information. Here comes the information. So how many shares was there in the beginning of the financial year? How many shares was issued? by the beginning of our financial year, which ended 31 December 2016?
4,752,000.
4,750,000. I want the beginning of the financial year. The beginning of the financial year. Look at the information very well. Look at the information very well. Look at the information very well, Marcelo. It's very important to look at the information. You have to read the information. I want the number of shares at the beginning of the financial year. When I go bulela ka 4,725,000, who? This thing, December 2016. December 2016, it is the end of the financial year.
Ooh,
It can't be the
600,000.
Good. You pulled it. On 1 January 2016, when we read the information of share capital, on 1 January 2016, there were 600,000 shares in issue. I agree with you. So, we are talking about the number of shares. How many shares was issued by the beginning of the financial year? And to understand the beginning of the year and the year end, I said it's very important in accounting. You have to know the beginning of the year. It's 1 January 2016. And we are doing accounting. We are doing the recording of the books, which end on 31 December 2016. So how many shares was there on 1 January 2016? We are told it's 600,000. So we come here, we write 600,000. That is the number of shares. What is the value of those shares by the beginning of the financial year? On 1 January 2016, what is the value of those shares, Masilu? Of this 600,000? What is their value? The shares check just 600,000. Mardiwe Fav guide shares just 600,000. What is the value of these shares?
4.2 million.
Yes, 4,200,000. This one. Because I get information here barely at the end of the previous year. End of the previous year. And counting ring, the end of the prior year is the beginning of our current financial year. Accounting, information at the beginning of the year, the information of the end of the year of the previous year. It's very important to look at the previous year, the information at the beginning of our current financial period. So you are right when you are saying the value of those shares at the beginning is 4,200,000. I agree with you. 4,200,000 in value. So by the end of the financial year, our value is 4,752,000. This one I'm saying is the value of shares because you can see there is R here. All information that has R, we write it on the right-hand side, like we're going to say 4,752,000 here. At the end of the financial year, 4,752,000. This is the value of shares at the end. Value at the end. And this is the value of shares at the beginning. Right. We are happy. Are we happy, Masilu? This information is the simplest you can do. This is the value of shares at the beginning. This is the value of shares at the end. Why am I saying they are the values? Because they are written in terms of rand. Happy?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very important in accounting to look at what is happening during the year. Go level information here. Here the shares issued during the year, let's share buyback. This is happening during the year. Akiri, this is the beginning. This one is for the end. We are saying these two, they have to do with what is happening during the year. So let us look for shares which was issued during the year. Is there any information that has to do with shares which is issued during the year? We read our information. Is there any shares which was issued during the year? Yep. How many shares was issued during the year?
100.
100,000. Good. So you write 100,000. This is shares issued during the year. You write 100,000. And what we write this side, it's only numbers. It has nothing to do with money. It doesn't have to do with cash. So we are just saying, if the shares 100,000. But this side, the shares 100,000. The value at your guy. How much is the value of this 100,000 shares? The shares 100,000. So let's go to the transaction and see if there is any price. We don't have the price for these shares. Maybe share 80 for 200. But 100,000 times 2 to know the value of these shares. So we don't have the price here. We don't have the price. Am I right? We can't value these shares for now. We can't value these shares for now because share 80 very issue ka which price. You know, sometimes in accounting they can give you this information. Look at this one. Sometimes they can say we issued 100,000 shares, and then they say each share is issued at 2 rand. So it will be easy to know the value of this 100,000 shares. Why? Because they will have given you the price. So what you are going to do in such situation, you are going to say 100,000 times good times the price given to know the value of shares. So in this case, we can't know the value of shares because we don't know the price. So we will need to do something. Let's go back to our information. Let's look at another transaction which is happened during the year, which is the buyback. How many shares did we buy back?
40,000
shares. To write the information on the left side is very simple because we are just writing those number of shares, 40,000 shares. The tricky always come when we have to value those shares. When we have to value the shares. Now, what you have to recall here, Marcelo, is very, very, very important. When we value share buyback, one can say we use the lower of the average share price and the share buyback price. So in this case, we need to be very careful because una let the price value our shares. How many shares? We are talking about 40,000 shares that we bought back. So really, when we value this 40,000 shares, we use the lower. We need to check very carefully which one is the lower price between the average share price and the share buyback price. Did they give us the share buyback price in this case? Let's look if they gave us the share buyback price. Okay, share 40,000 from a distinguished shareholder at 130 above the average share price of equal asibar botse di shares tše re di rekile back ka bokae mara ba re botša ka the average share price. I want you to see this. The average share price is 7.20 rand. So I will talk about this 130 but for now they are saying on 30 December 2016 the company repurchased. We bought back how many shares? We bought back 40,000 shares from this shareholder, and then they said we bought back these shares at 130 above the average share price. Actually, when you regulate these shares back, let me back. The share buyback price, it's actually 130 plus 7.20. So this shares redirect back, redirectile ka 7.50. Masilu. Gape go ka tšea the average share price, which is 7.20 in this case. The average share price is 7.20. Why addally the price above? 130 is what we call the price above average share price. Price the average share price. So who can share the price yelling above the average share price? Why addally average share price? These two, do uregile back the shares check up guy. Uwo direka ka 7.50. So what is the share buyback price? It's 7.50. What is the average share price? It was clearly stated. The average share price was clearly stated that it's 7.20 cents. So now, which price are you going to use to value this 40,000 shares? Which one do you use? I said use the lower of the two. Whichever is the lower, you are going to use it. So which one is the lower between 7.20 and 7.50? Which one is the lower? To clarify on that. Lebelela Masilu. Every time company irregular the shares back. Let's say we bought 40,000 shares back. Regular 40,000 shares back. Go value at this 40,000 shares. Go multiply ka price ye itseng. Go rutse value ya tsona ke bokae. O swanetse o lebelle the lower of. O lebelle rena ke efe e nyane price ya fast. O ile compare price tše pedi tše two. O ile compare ntho re bitsang gore ke share buyback price. O lebella gore go bo di reka back di shares tše bo di reka ka bokae, maybe ka 7.50. Why compare again le ntho re bitsang gore ke average share price. Average share price. Let's say average share price is 7.20. So who value this 40,000 shares? You must use the lower of these two. Which one is the lower between the average share price and the share buyback price? Which one is the lower in this case?
Average price.
Yes, average share price. What I would value this 40,000 shares, reverikisha this 7.20. So we are going to say 40,000 times 7.20. Simple. I'm saying it again. Value the shares or company directly back. Level which one is the lower between the average share price and the share buyback price, whichever is the lower, you are going to use it. I level this situation, Masil. Let's say we rekile 20,000 shares back. The company rekile 20,000 shares back. And ge di reka back these shares, it rekile back ka 6 rand 10 cent. Mara ge re calculated the average share price. This is the share buyback price. But gantši ba go fa yona. Most of the time, ba re botša gore company e rekile back the shares ka which price. And then average share price, most of the time, yona ra calculate. Let's say we calculate the average share price, is 7 rand. Which price are you going to use to value this 20,000 shares? Cherry directly back.
610.
610. Wa bona gore ge re value di shares cherry directly back. Are re di value ka average share price. You need to be careful. Re di value ka the lower between these two. Yelling enyan. Ki yona re berekishang go value di shares cherry directly back. Re na le problem ya gore grade 12 learners, they only think gore the shares that we bought back re di value ka average share price. That is a wrong thinking. We use the lower between these two. You need to be very smart. Sometimes share buyback price uka humana ili yona yelling the lower one. In this case, on our activity that we are doing, we need to read the information very carefully. Re tlhoka regulate back the shares 40,000. Re tlhoka go tseba the average share price le share buyback price. Gore ge re be re di reka back these shares, re di rekile ka bokae. In this case, the information is clearly stating that the average share price is 7 rand 20. So how much is the share buyback price? Share buyback price, get this 130 plus 720, which is 750. So value the shares directly back. We say what we are going to use 720. Y is the lower. So we go back, we say 40,000 times 720 here. We're going to say 40,000 times 720. How much is 40,000 times 720, Masilu?
288,000.
288,000. Share buyback, it's always in bracket because it decreases the value of our ordinary share capital. Don't forget that. The number of shares that you bought back, you must put them in bracket. Even the value of shares of buyback, we must put it in bracket. Are we happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's simple, Masilu, to calculate the number of shares at the end. How are you going to calculate the number of shares at the end? If we really wanted to know how many shares are at the end of the year, how are you going to calculate those shares?
Ucha 600 plus 100 minus 40.
Good.
40,000.
40,000. I believe that if you do that, for sure you are going to get 660,000. So now, can we do mathematics a little bit? Can we do bit of maths? Let me show you something. I love to use mathematics when I'm solving problem. I'm saying the value of our shares at the beginning is 4,200,000. Am I right? 4,200,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to add the value of shares issued during the year, which I don't know. This is why we love maths. it's able to solve what we don't know. We add the value of shares, which we don't know. I will just say it's X. And then I subtract, because I said the share buyback should always be in bracket, should be bracketed. So you subtract 288,000. It makes sense why we subtract it, because it's in the bracket. And then we say equals to 4,752,000. Is what I'm doing making sense here? I wish it's making sense, because we believe how much is the value of shares at the end. Go kalebelela ntwe ke dira mo ke ka di value of shares ke we dirileng go bo calculate the value of shares at the end. Yeah, I mean the number of shares at the end. I don't go calculate the number of the shares at the end. Was just 600,000. Wa add 100,000. One chap 40,000. Yeah, how many shares are there at the end? So the same thing I'm doing with the value of shares. I'm saying renta 4,200,000. Kai add these shares issued during the year, which I don't know. Kancha 288,000, I should get 4,752,000. With a little help of algebra, I should solve my X. I'm going to do maths. I'm going to say 4,752,000 minus 4,200,000 plus 288,000 is my X. Actually, X is
840,000.
Oh, my X is 840,000.
Yeah.
Good. So this is the share issued.
I get Kichiri 4,200,000 minus ali 200 and 200
okay, but okay, it's fine. But whatever you're doing, you are not doing what I'm saying. I get you. You might have found it in another way. But ari puchishe so masilu eriku puchishe mo ari yenke be sigo ye 4,752,000 ye ari nke ba go ne onale this one onale ye ke byang question mark mo ari onale on wo tlo go mana jwang 4,752,000 ye Unelie. Aune 4,752,000. Aune the value of shares at the end. No tui go manajwa. What's a ugaspal go calculate something at the end of the year. Bertu go manajwa this one. Erna arna licho anaka mo ka chichaka team. Liona ye in this case is wrong. Ya the value of shares. Arnkabe ilogona. Botu go manajwa the value of shares at the end. Puchwaka wa ikushisha mara. And then go pala ko khumana the value of shares at the end of the year. Go the number of shares at the end. Because the same procedure here dirangarinyaka the number of shares at the end. Kiri dirangarinyaka the value of shares at the end. We are dirango calculate the value of shares at the end. Hengebe we nal chona ka mukachiche taruchi.
If you get 4,200 kaya pala sali share issued.
Yes.
Kaya minus the repurchases.
You'll find the one at the end. Agir? This is what my equation is saying. This one at the beginning, this value of shares at the beginning of the year, then I add the value of shares issued during the year, can repurchase is one impe the value of shares at the end. That is why I'm creating this equation. Then we solve for x. I can go solve x, watch here this one, waisha that side. Watch here even this one, waisha that side. That side of the equal sign, they must change the sign. This was positive, is now negative. This was negative, is now positive. Wa calculator x yaga. Again?
Yeah.
Usho make a sense into gidirlemo.
Yeah.
Okay, sharp. 840,000. I believe in you. It's 840,000. Can we confirm it? Can we confirm that Ganetiki 840,000? What's that RDN? RGA 4,200,000, re-edely 840,000, rinche 288,000. RGA 4,200,000 again. Re-edely 840,000. Rinche 288,000.
Yeah, 4,752,000.
Yeah, one calculation here is correct. So this is our ordinary share capital note. Even though now it's ugly because of it's very ugly, but the correct
Moga repurchase agar radia John, a relay on radia John.
Okay, well, nana radia John.
Sometimes I get away at the end. We send you which 4,752,000. We divide the share the share 660,000. You offer repurchases. Sometimes I get
okay, our calculated number of shares at the end. Get a relay kichekai. Relay 660,000. I think we said 660,000. Can you just confirm it for me? 700,000 minus 40,000. Yeah, it's 660,000. Can it be? Yep, it is. Right. What's I can go when shares at the value of share at the end, the value of share at the end. Divide by number of shares at the end. Retweet the value of shares at the end. Right, divide the number of shares at the end. Marantwe irufangiona. Gupula or I will share buyback. You can't say irufa share buyback. Irufa what we call average share price. Irufa the average.
EGDM pass 7,2.
Yes, that is why this thing it will for the average share price. Go here the value of shares at the end. We divide the number of shares at the end. What you are going to get is what we call the average share price, which is makes sense because here it is. The average share price here it is. Bangfile your nagger. She 720. So Wabanar in this case, I will be calculating something that I already know. That is why I didn't entertain this thing of saying value of shares at the end divided by number of share at the end, because this calculation, it gives me the average share price, which I have it here. It's 720. Why should I calculate what I have? Okay, average share price, it's 720. Is what I'm saying making sense? This calculation is for the average share price. Leon. Again. Now, go value a share buyback. Maybe there is something that you are missing, and I'm saying this one is very important. Go value a share buyback. Value the share buyback. Back. O level regular back check 40,000. One multiplier, our multiply average share price. Our times average share price. I want, this is why I want to be very clear. 40,000 times average share price. We say 40,000 times the lower. We say times the lower of average share price and the share buyback price. Uberekisha enyan. Uskana all the time. Uonodika uberekisha average share price. Don't do creme work. Value share buyback. Riberekisha level enyan kifi between average share price and share buyback price. In this case, average share price barely 720. Mola share buyback price is 750. So that is why kiberikishite 720 karikyo. So the calculation of share buyback price was absolutely accurate, because I said 40,000 times 720.
Sometimes I calculate or recalculate. The share average price lady.
Oh, okay. This share buyback price, 750. Most of the time, but ne? This share buyback price, it's easy with command question paper. This one, share buyback.
If sometimes for
this share buyback price, most of the time while command question paper, ne? And then cherry calculating get the average share price. I agree with you. Yeah, most of the time recalculating get the average share price. That is why when we calculate. That is why Bonyaka 752,000 divided by 660,000, because ulemgelegur average share price most of the time calculate you. But in this case, it was given. You need to be very smart. Ugas calculating to about feeling on. Like it doesn't make sense. I don't know if I'm making sometimes in total we calculate, but on. Do you have to calculate it? No. Ugas calculate average share price by on. It was clearly given on the paper. The average share price is 720. Wangushisha. The average share price is 720. Usanjube ube careful Masilu. Agano or average share price most of the time I calculate. Martiachilelo bato fayon. Wakumanelu you still want to calculate it. And to me, that will be the funniest moment, because they gave you that. You don't have to calculate something which is given.
Sometimes I got our view.
Hey, that is why that time you will need to calculate it. I agree with you. Most of the time, actually, I agree with you. Again?
ene bjale ge sometimes ba re file 520 le 7 rand so di bja
ba go file 720 ba go file average share price ape 720 ke oh le 7 ranta ke share buyback price
goba ba di ile vice versa re file 7 rand ba fetša ba buying back ya ba 520
ya ba 520
average
oh
7 rand.
gabotse o nyaka gore what if the share buyback price if feta ke average share price o nyaka gore what if go botse ka re we use the lower ge nkebe o nkwele gore ke re we use the lower one for sure you were not going to ask me we use the lower one. Actually, I think I've already answered the question because I'm saying are berekiše average price ka dinako ka moka rena re lebelela gore ke
a ke re gore ke botšiše ke bona re thakantšhitše ya 130 le ya ntho e ke ya re fa 750 bjale be ke nyako botšiša gore
okay gabotse tšela ge re be re di tlhakantšha is because be re nyaka o tseba re share buyback price ke bokae again which is it was 750 so potšišo kore what if share buyback price ke 6 rand again so ge re yo value di shares tša rena re 40,000 times 6 ra se berekiše average share price ntwe nkoša motlhoko kore bana ba bantši ba grade 12 ba kremile gore we are going to use average share price all the time ba ipotša re ge re value share buyback re berekiša average share price and examiners are very smart one of the year they can just give ba ka no tšiša share buyback price ye leng gore e ka fase ga average share price ba bona gore na o tseba taba tša ga gore wa crema na because I get memorandum all the time to humana maybe berekiša average share price because iba ili yona iling enyane in that case go nyale ke re ge share buyback price e ka no ba ka fase ga average share price what are you going to multiply by 6 wangushisha I'm hoping or wangushisha because it's very rare to convince someone otherwise but you need to be careful ge re value di shares a gone motho a reng re berekiša average share price re berekiša the lower of gore re a lebelela pele gore na ke efe e leng e nyane we use the lower of the average share price and the share buyback price whichever is the lower ke yona e re berekiša in this case re berekiša
ya 610 le 720 re thakantše
ya 610 le 720 ke efe
ya 610 le 7 rand re thakantše
o tla bo di tlhakantšha o nyaka eng
a ke re ke bona gore ke botše question ke bone o thakantšha ela ya mathomo ya 130 intrigue ele be ke nyako botša re le thakantšha na
ke potšišo ya gago e make sense ne it makes sense okay it makes sense a re tšee so maselo ge re valua di shares tše re di rekileng back re di valua ka the lower of artom ka the lower of what one the lower of
average the lower of price
the lower of what re lebelela the lower between two things ke nyako tseba re ke between which things the lower of ke mo tlo ba le problem gona ge re valua di shares tše re di rekileng back re berekiša the lower of re di valua ka ye e leng ga e nyane magareng ga ntwe le ye ke magareng ga eng le eng re lebelela dilo tše pedi ra tšea e nyane ya tšona ke dife dilo tšeo tše pedi re lebelela the average share price
le share buying
leng
share buying back
price le share buyback price good again jwalo this share buyback price ge e lebelele price ye ya share buyback price e dira ke gore ge re bolela ka share buyback price re ka re e dira ke the average share price plus price above average share price gore dilo tše pedi tše average share price ne average share price go ka itlhakantša le price ye leng gore it's above average share price di tlo go fa share buyback price lebelela ga dima question paper lebelela dima question paper what is the average share price go ya le ka question paper what is the average share price the average share price vala question paper on 30 December 2016 the company repurchased 40,000 shares from a disgruntled shareholder at 130 above the average share price. Wa bona 130 ke price ya above ke 130 bar ke it's 130 above the average share price. So ke this part 130 ke is ke part here above the average share price. Mola the average share price le bokae ile 720 ile 720 dilo tše go di tlhakantša di go fa share buyback price o swantše o tsebe re share buyback price ye re ka tlhakantša eng re ka tlhakantša the average share price le the le ye e leng gore e above ye e leng gore ba tlo go fa yona if there is a need ba tlo go fa the price above average share price go di tlhakantša di tlo go fa share buyback price mara ge šetše o ena le average share price le go ena le average share price maybe e le 720 o ena gape le share buyback price le share buyback price e le 750 o ka se bolele ka go tlhakantša mo because ntho tšeo di nyakang o natšo ka moka ne o na le average share price ke 720 agir o na le share buyback price ke 750 mo no lebelela ke fie nyane you don't add o ka se tlogile wa adda average share price le share buyback price dilo tšeo ka se tlogile wa di adda tše never mola be re adda ka gore be re nyako tseba re share buyback price ke bokae okay sharp good this was 2017 this was the question paper of 2017 we were looking at ordinary share capital note so can I test your understanding let me look for another question paper where there is a question of ordinary share capital note so that you can prepare it for me. Ordinary share capital note 8 marks. Why one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gape gore ke tsebe gore o kwešišitšwe Masilo. Ke tlo bona ka ge o di dira o calculate. So ntwe ke nyakang gore o e dire ke nyaka gore o ntirele ordinary share capital note. I want you to calculate it for me. I mean, I want you to prepare ordinary share capital note. In this case, it's 8 marks. Again. So I'm going to give you this question so that you can do it for me. So can you screenshot this part? It's very important to know the financial year end. Financial year end yarna ki 30 June 2017. Why one again? So kinyaka u prepare ordinary share capital note. I want you to prepare ordinary share capital note. Using this information. Can you screenshot and start preparing? Can you screenshot and start preparing?
Yeah, I'm screenshotting.
Yeah, all the best. All the best. I believe you can do it. Unsendele solution mo WhatsApp again?
Yeah.
Sure. Make sure